This morning, Todd Blanche announced that the DOJ plans to release 3 million Epstein files out of the 6 million currently in its possession. This is being presented as a full and final disclosure, but it is nothing of the sort. It is a selective release designed to help the DOJ claim closure and quietly move on. However, the attempt to shield Donald Trump has already fallen apart. The documents that were released directly implicate Trump and expose evidence of his wrongdoing. That is precisely why those files are now being quietly removed from the DOJ's website. It also explains why Trump erupted in the Oval Office today, lashing out and creating distractions to pull attention away from the damaging revelations already made public by the DOJ. We'll break down exactly what has been taken down, but first, it's important to look at Trump's visibly panicked state this morning when he opened his press remarks by targeting Jerome Powell.
On that, should the DOJ continue with its investigation into Jay Powell? That seems to be a sticking point for Senator Tellis.
Well, he's got a building that, I build buildings, and I build them under budget, ahead of schedule. I build them, but they're within reason always. And this is a small little complex that's costing billions of dollars, most expensive job per square foot ever built. And it's a little complex. It's a little foot complex. I built the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue, and I built it for around $200 million. So it's bigger than that. They're spending many times that amount to do a renovation of a building. I've heard numbers as high as $4 billion. $4 billion to build a building. I could have renovated that building and fixed it up, made it beautiful for $25 million. So they're going to spend close to $4 billion on it. So it's either gross incompetence or it's theft. Somebody's making money, because you can't do stuff. It's more per square, and you have half a building there. You have the structure, you have the exterior skin, but they're not changing much. They're building a building and they're spending almost, I'm hearing numbers of between $3 and $4 billion. It's the most expensive structure ever built per square foot. So he's either incompetent or he or somebody is a crook.
Oh yes. Apparently the real threat we need to chase down is the terrifying criminal Jerome Powell, whose great offense was refusing to slash interest rates fast enough after Donald Trump sent inflation soaring with reckless tariffs. That's the so-called criminal conspiracy now, the Federal Reserve. Not the pedophiles. No, the real enemy is the Fed chair, because he doesn't blindly do whatever Trump wants at all times. And of course, this isn't the first time Trump has tried to weaponize the DOJ to punish a political target, label them a criminal, and dump all the blame on them. He's doing it right now with Don Lemon. Trump uses the DOJ however it suits him, turning it into a personal weapon. What he refuses to do, however, is use the DOJ to deliver any real accountability for Epstein's victims. Instead, he's choosing to lie, manufacturing crimes that don't exist, including false narratives about what's supposedly happening in Minnesota.
You look at Minneapolis, we have crime down there because we took out thousands of people, despite all the mess and everything else. But do these people really want to have rapists? Do they really want to have drug dealers and people from prisons and murderers? Do they really want to have them in the community? It's really insurrectionists and agitators, and they're paid. And you can tell a lot of reasons. Number one, they're professionals, with their mouth. But they're also, you look at the signs. The signs are all professionally made. They have signs that are gorgeous. In fact, I want to get the sign because I need a lot of signs for different things, and I want to find out whoever does their signs, they do a beautiful job. Everybody has this beautiful sign with brand new wood. It's like leather panels. They have a leather handle on the bottom. These are people that are handed signs, and we know pretty much, we're getting very close to it, but we know pretty much who's funding this stuff. These are paid insurrectionists, paid troublemakers, but I was elected by a landslide and won everything.
Do we really want criminals roaming the streets? Of course not. That's exactly why Donald Trump should not be anywhere near the Oval Office. It's why the Epstein files must be released in full, why everyone involved in this administration needs to face prosecution, and why real accountability is absolutely necessary. But none of that will happen as long as Donald Trump continues to preside over America's decline while expanding his authoritarian agenda. It simply won't. The fact that Todd Blanche felt the need to publicly insist today that the White House didn't influence their actions is outrageous. A deputy attorney general shouldn't ever have to clarify that they weren't taking orders from the president. But here we are. And even worse, that claim isn't true. Because right now, documents exposing Donald Trump's crimes, documents posted by the DOJ itself, are actively being removed from its website. That is exactly why Trump is melting down. The DOJ is actively removing documents they just released from the Epstein files. This one here, EFTA0116600679, where someone accuses Trump of rape, is gone. It can't be found on the Department of Justice website. Donald Trump is accusing others of the very crimes he himself has been accused of. He claims these crimes are happening in Minnesota, but they're not. Yet he uses those false claims to justify calls for an extreme, militarized response in American communities. At the same time, Trump has faced repeated and serious accusations of rape over the years. And now, the DOJ briefly posted one of those allegations, only to quietly remove it soon after. If accountability actually mattered, the focus wouldn't be on manufacturing fear or targeting innocent people, but on holding Trump himself responsible. As new DOJ released files, quickly taken down, continue to reveal disturbing allegations of abuse against women, both young and old, Trump's response from the Oval Office was telling. Instead of addressing the substance of those accusations, he immediately went on the attack against a woman once again.
Administration and the IRS. Why are you suing?
Who are you with?
I'm with ABC News.
You're a loud person, very loud. Let somebody else have a chance.
Can you answer the question? Why are you suing IRS?
ABC fake news.
You're suing.
Go ahead, I didn't call on you. Go ahead, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Do you think the upcoming
ABC, by the way, is truly one of the worst. Go
Do you
ahead.
think the upcoming
Donald Trump almost always singles out women for his attacks, most often female journalists. He can't stop himself. This behavior is ingrained in who he is, and it's something we've known for a long time. He will keep acting this way and will use every ounce of power available to him to avoid accountability. That's exactly what we're witnessing now. The so-called release of 3 million files today was heavily redacted, and anything that directly implicates Trump is being removed, just as we've already seen happen. Reporting continues to pour in. By the time this video finishes recording, there will likely be countless new stories, photos of Trump with Epstein, documented allegations, evidence of criminal connections, and witnesses offering sworn testimony about Trump's disturbing and unlawful behavior. In fact, new information is already surfacing by the minute. This is who Donald Trump is, and it shows how frightened they are, so frightened that they believe shifting attention like this will work as a distraction. It also reveals how scared Trump is of the ongoing discussion around ICE. At a moment when public attention was at its peak over the killing of Alex Pretty and the execution of Renee Good, they suddenly decided to pivot and bring Epstein back into the conversation. Trump understands this, even as he angrily rants about Minneapolis.
We say it very plainly, elections have consequences. The people want law and order. And we have a silent majority. We have a silent majority of people. They don't go and riot and everything else, but they like what we're doing. They like having a safe city. I get calls every single day. Every person I see working in the White House, people I don't know, many people work here, and they say, I'd like to thank you, sir, you made Washington so great. We walk to work. They walk to work. You people know it very well. You walk to work there. You used to take an Uber.
You know what, Donald? On this point, we actually agree. completely. Elections do have consequences. And when Democrats win the midterms, the president they elect must be someone willing to come in and completely clean house. Anyone holding a lifetime position who was appointed by Donald Trump should be removed. Any federal bureaucrat Trump installed to serve his personal interests, gone. Any judge he put on the bench, removed from the Supreme Court all the way down to the lowest courts. I don't care. Clean house. And then prosecutions must begin. Prosecute the people who enabled this corruption. Prosecute those who financially benefited from Donald Trump and his abuses of power. Every single one of them. Hegseth, Bandy, Patel, go after all of them. That is the only way to fix this. There is no other path. And the time to make this clear is now. Everyone at the DOJ needs to understand what's coming. If you so much as pour a cup of coffee for Pam Bandy, you should already be calling a lawyer. If we can put even one obstacle in the way of them continuing to trample the Constitution, then we are winning. Donald Trump loses in court again and again and again. I promise you this. When things actually reach the courtroom, it is always a bad day for Donald Trump. I know the Supreme Court and the endless headlines about its corruption make that hard to believe, but it's still true. So we must keep filing injunctions, keep suing, and keep making it unmistakably clear that accountability is coming because it is deserved. Donald Trump will try to spin this. He will try to confuse and distract, just like he did in that clip. But in the end, this will all come back to haunt him when we replay these moments in the future.
On Minneapolis, Governor Tim Walz recently likened the conflict on the ground to Fort Sumter, sort of implied that this is the beginning of a civil war. Do you agree with that characterization? Do you feel like there's a civil war brewing in Minneapolis?
Well, does he know what Fort Sumter was, or do you think somebody read it out for him? No, this is, I was elected on law and order. I was elected on a strong border. We had a border that allowed 25 million people to come in. Many were murderers. They murdered people. We had 11,888 murders. We had prisons, including Venezuela, but Venezuela opened its prisons, so did the Congo. The Congo in Africa opened its prisons and dumped people into our country. Many countries did that. I would have done that if I were leading a country. I would have dumped the prisoners into our country. We opened borders. We had all these things. I was elected on law and order. I was elected on the economy. I was elected on a lot of reasons. Because when I took over, we inherited a mess. Prices were too high. Inflation was the highest it was in 48 years. I say ever, but the media always corrects me by saying it's only 48 years. I think 48 years almost sounds worse. But when I was elected to do a job, and one of the big things I was elected to do is law and order. We now have the lowest crime rate in the history of our country. We have the lowest murder rate in the history of our country. We have Washington, D.C., which was a dangerous place to walk, is now a totally safe city. You can walk with your husband or your wife, you can walk with your children right down the middle of the city. Nothing's going to happen. We did a great job. We have the National Guard, we have soldiers, we have people that nobody's going to mess with. And
the pedophile protector himself, someone running a militarized campaign of thugs breaking the law to assault and kill American citizens, claims to be the president of law and order. The hypocrisy here has truly peaked, but as he returns to this kind of rhetoric and tries to redefine the terms, it's clear that Donald Trump is on the defensive. He is on the back foot with Epstein. He is on the back foot with Minnesota. Donald Trump is vulnerable, and that makes it the perfect time to act, speak louder than ever, and fight harder than ever. That's what we're going to do on this show. And if you want to support that, hit the subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stayed to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.